Sounds good. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for your patience. We're starting a little late, but we're trying to make sure that you guys have all the information and that we have as many people in as possible. My name is Christina Tapia. I am a math teacher at DeBakey High School. I am going to be teaching Algebra 2 and Pre-Calculus this school year, so it's going to be fun. My co-presenter, if I don't know if she's available right now, is Anita Jaffarali. She is going to be teaching geometry pre-AP and pre-calculus. And she also is the sponsor of the Interact Club, and will be teaching a leadership course this year as well. She's very busy.
And since I'm sitting all by myself in the cafeteria, I'm going to let y'all see my face because there's no one around me, so might as well.
Okay, so on your screen right now, you should see the QR code. This is kind of just an extra shared kind of view of the sign up stuff, so that way we know that you guys have, or we have the most up-to-date contact information. We plan to share this information with your students' teachers, so that way we can contact you, especially since we switched to a new system this year, or last year with PowerSchool. Some of the contact information might have been lost. So we just want to make sure that to contact you guys that we have the best information possible. Please also, before we actually start with the presentation, please make sure that your microphones are off. We do know that you guys will have questions, and we encourage questions, but please kind of wait for us to ask for questions, because if not, it'll take a lot longer. And also utilize the chat as well, so you can use that and we'll answer questions in that space as well. We will have a Q&A session at the very end of the presentation, so we will have plenty of opportunities for questions, but especially since you guys hopefully have something nearby that you can write your questions down, just jot them down really quickly, so that way we can answer them at a later time if needed.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait till the end to answer questions because the last session did run a little bit over, and we want to be respectful of everyone's time. So before anything else, we want to welcome you. Welcome to DeBakey Viper family. We are really excited to have you here. We actually got a chance to meet a lot of the freshmen and a lot of the sophomores, and it was a lot of fun getting to hang out with everybody. But just like you guys, the students had a lot of questions, and so I think these were the most popular questions that were asked was, when does school start? How early can I drop off my child? And then what school supplies? What's the school supply list? So usually each teacher has their own separate school supply list that you get at the beginning of the year. But because school hasn't started yet and we don't have access to all the teachers right now, the school supply that the students have given me some feedback on what they suggest students should bring on the first day of school. They should bring a 2-pocket folder, just like a paper folder that has those pockets, and then a pencil, a pen, an eraser, and just notebook paper in case their teacher gives them notes. School doors open for students at 7 o'clock in the morning. The first period starts at 7:55, thank you. And then at 3:35, school ends. And then we usually have about an hour of tutorials that are offered Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Depending on the teacher, every teacher has their own schedule for tutorials. And then pickup time is 4:30.
Mr. Saldivar, are you online?
Hey there. Yes, thank you, Tapia.
No problem.
Good afternoon, all. I'm Mr. Saldivar. I'm the 9th and 10th grade principal at DeBakey. I am the one that works with your children at those grade levels there. But in this specific slide here, I'd like to work with you guys with the parking lot situation. As you guys know, we're situated in the middle of the Texas Medical Center. Real estate is a premium, and so we have a lot of compact space in the buildings around here. So the parking lot at DeBakey is compact. It's small, but it also has a very unique flow of traffic there. So this is a screenshot of the actual video. The video actually is available on our school website. I encourage you guys to visit the school website and to check out the complete 6-minute video on there. So this screenshot, I just want to highlight some points here, because when we had Viper Camp a couple days ago, believe it or not, some students mentioned that there was traffic in the parking lot. So that should not happen. And but if we all do our part about how to navigate through our parking lot, we can avoid any major traffic jams in our parking lot situation. So if you notice the blue arrows, once we enter from Pressler Street, there are 2 rows where we can make a quick right turn. There's obviously the one highlighted by the black SUV here. That's the first row where one makes a quick right turn. The one row that usually gets neglected or not used is that second row, that second arrow making a right turn. Thank you, Ms. Tapia. And that's also another way to navigate the parking lot there. I do highlight some yellow dots there.
Please make sure your mics are muted. We can hear a lot of things, so please make sure your mics are muted.
Thank you. All right, so the yellow dots represent some parallel parking spaces that we have in the parking lot. There's about 20 of those. If you plan to drop off your child or pick up your child, and it's going to be more than a minute or 2 and dropping them off your child, I suggest you using the parallel parking spots. If those are full, then you can move into the open parking, the next available parking space. Okay. The last thing we don't want to do is to block the driveway, or obviously that's going to block the flow of traffic there. Throughout the course of the summer, we've seen parents using the driveway immediately in front of the main entrance there. That's something that we're not encouraging, because that will lead to delays and traffic jams in the parking lot there. So I will be working the parking lot during in the afternoons there. And so it's just a friendly reminder to visit the website, check the 6-minute video of how our parking lot works there. And if we all do our part, I think we can eliminate a lot of headaches in the parking lot situation there. Okay, thank you.
So this is just the agenda for what we're going to be talking about today. These are the things that we're going to be going over. We will be we are recording this session, so just FYI, you are being recorded and we are being recorded. We will be posting the recording for this session on the DeBakey website for everyone to access later if you miss anything.
So going right into it, we're going to immediately talk about expectations for our DeBakey students. A lot of students, especially if your incoming student is a incoming freshman, the transition from 8th grade into high school can be difficult. It's definitely something that's going to be new for them. It might be new for you if this is your first high schooler, especially in this program. It's going to require a lot more from your student. The first and most important thing is appropriate behavior and language. We have a very close relationship and partnership with the Texas Medical Center. In order to give your student those very rare opportunities to work with doctors and with research in the medical center, we want to make sure that we're exhibiting our best from our students and their language as well. So please encourage your student to have great behavior, great language usage, so that way we can keep those strong relationships going with the Texas Medical Center. Also, dedication to our program, which is pretty much just their understanding that they might lose out on some weekends of fun in order to study and prepare for courses and assessments that they might have. So kind of including that summer packet that some students might have done, including the homework and assignments that we give our students. We want to make sure that they're doing the best that they can to prepare them for college and hopefully the medical field. Academic honesty kind of goes hand in hand with everything I've just talked about with dedication to our program, especially if your student has in the past used photomath or any kind of external resources on studying for exams or tests for the last year, especially during COVID. A lot of students thought that it was pretty easy to use certain unapproved sites. So make sure that your student understands that the work that they are giving us needs to be theirs. It cannot be somebody else's or from an application. With that, we have the academic honor code that we're going to kind of be implementing very heavily this school year. It's going to be visual in every student's class or every teacher's classroom at the very front near the whiteboard. And it's honestly something that we're going to be hopefully encouraging the students to kind of keep track of. Mr. Saldivar, did you want to add something to that?
Yes, Ms. Tapia, thank you. Believe it or not, we've had an honor code that's been implemented at DeBakey for the past couple of years. And like Ms. Tapia said, we are going to provide a visual aid in the classrooms near the whiteboard area. And it's kind of serves as an academic reminder to our students. So the full honor code is listed, will be listed on our website at Student Handbook. So I encourage all of our students and parents to visit that honor code there. And so the academic reminder in the classroom is there to remind our students that we have expectations for them, that they have responsibilities in doing their work, anything from their classwork assignment to homework to major grades like quizzes, tests, labs, and research projects there. So in addition to that reminder there, it's also stated there that we have our DeBakey community, but as a DeBakey community, we're also part of the wider world of national and international affairs. So what we do without integrity or without academic integrity affects every layer of the community, from our school to the state to national and international. So that reminder, that academic reminder is out there for students to be aware of what's going on. Okay.
Mr. Saldivar, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Thank you. So the academic reminder is just a reminder for not only for our students, but our teachers and the community that we do have an honor code, and it's there, and it's the responsibility of our students to be aware of it. And if they have any questions, always to be open and communicate that with their teachers always. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a quick friendly reminder, make sure that if you are on your phone or laptop that you make sure that you're on mute, so that way it'll prevent us from having to slow down. The last item on this slide is just a strong presence in the community. As I said before, we have a very close relationship with the Texas Medical Center. That's how your students are able to go into hospitals and into surgery rooms to see what's going on in the real world. So we want to make sure that your student isn't only taking advantage of that in our courses, but also in their own community. So having them do a service project through their community, Habitat for Humanity, all of those pieces are going to help them be kind of our ideal student. They are required to have 100 hours of community service in order to earn the DeBakey diploma. However, that is going to start for them to start getting hours is the freshman year. So for students who are sophomores this year, they should hopefully have some hours to count. But if your student is an incoming freshman, they cannot start earning hours until the first day of school. So when they're actually a student of ours, if I'm not mistaken. So please keep that in mind as you guys are thinking of how to involve themselves in their community.
So one thing that the main reason we're all here is how can you as a parent support your child and support the teacher and just work together to create a good environment for your child. We all just want the best for your child. That's why we're all here. And academically, you can provide support by making sure your student knows when to ask for help and how to ask for help. So a lot of students, usually before they come to our school, have usually done really well in their classes and they've never had a reason to ask for help. So most of them may not know how to ask for help and they've never had to do it before. So some of them are even ashamed that they even feel the need to ask for help. But if we can help create that and normalize asking for help, as a parent, if you can do that at home, and as teachers, we try to do that at school, we just got to work together to do all of that together. One other thing that you can do is communicate with your child regularly, and not just how's it going, did you do your homework, but how are your classes? Are there any classes that you're struggling with? If you notice that your child is struggling with certain classes or just feels really withdrawn, chances are they may not be doing good that well in some of their classes, and they may be ashamed to admit that to you. But if we can normalize the fact that there may be some classes that your student is struggling with, then that might help with conversations later as well. This school is hard, and it's going to make sure that there's a adjustment period for getting used to this school and getting ready for school. So it may take a little bit for your child to get used to the way school goes here. One thing we can do to help is making sure they understand time management and keeping a planner, keeping track of all of their assignments and everything they have to do. The school is not going to be providing a planner this year, so please make sure that you go out and buy a planner, find one that works for your child. And then if you need to, teachers have a lot of students. Sometimes we have over 150 students, sometimes 200 students. So we may not have the time to reach out to every single individual parent, even though I would love to talk to every single parent. I've actually already been talking to a lot of you guys, but you know, when school starts, things get really hectic and really crazy. So please reach out to us and let us know when you need help or when you notice something is off with your student, because chances are we also notice the same thing. And something else to keep in mind is that college applications start now. And when we say that, if you're a student, if your child is a freshman student coming in, then they are basically starting now, preparing for college. We're trying to get them ready for college. So they need to understand that when they come into our class, they are trying to get everything prepared for college. They're going to be coming to us as teachers and asking us for recommendation letters. And I want to say good things. I want to say that, yeah, you know, your child struggled at the beginning, but look, now they have A+ students. This webinar is not just for 9th and 10th grade parents, it's for everyone. But it is a focus on 9th and 10th because most of them do not have some of the knowledge that the upper grade level parents have. But in general, college applications, something else to keep in mind is when a student comes to me and asks me for a college application, I'm going to remember the fact that they were not paying attention in class every day, or they were always talking in my class, or they were always sleeping in my class. So they need to keep in mind that college applications, that stuff is going to follow them, right? Their teachers will remember what they did in their class and how they were as a student. So that's something to keep in mind.
Another thing I want to add to that with the college applications is that their GPA also starts now as well. So a lot of students think that, oh, I can just slack off my freshman year and I can make it up as the years go on. I have had plenty of seniors come back to me as they're asking me for letters of recommendation, and they've told me, Ms. Tapia, I realized I really messed up my freshman year. I should have paid more attention. I should have done more in my classes. I shouldn't have slacked off on my homework. So all of those things are going to start adding up. So just keep that in mind and have your student keep that in mind as well. As they are starting to do homework assignments, they shouldn't be lazy. They should try to actually get those done. As a friendly reminder, if your microphone is on, please make sure that you mute it. On your screen right now, we just have some basic study tips and skills, I guess, or ideas that your kids can use. The most important thing, which I think we're probably going to reiterate throughout the rest of this presentation, is whenever your student gets a homework assignment or even a project, they should start on it the day that it's given. When students wait until the last minute, honestly, the night before, that's why I have parents email me saying, hey, my student is up until 4 in the morning. Why are you giving so much homework? It's probably because they weren't doing what they needed to do beforehand. So please make sure that your student is actually starting on their assignment the night that it's given or the day that it's given, so that way they can ignore some of those mistakes they might make in waiting until the last minute to do the homework. These suggestions will likely evolve as your student is enrolled in, or goes to their classes on the first day of school. But these are just some tips to kind of get you guys started. With math, you might not think about it, but especially since most of the students who are entering freshmen will likely be in geometry, there's a lot of vocabulary, a lot of theorems, a lot of rules. So having your student put information on flashcards will likely be helpful and will benefit them in the long run. In science and history, it's a lot of text-based, so unfortunately, having them reread, some students don't like reading, but they're going to need to in order to do well in those classes. So reading ahead, creating outlines, participating in discussions is a big one. Just having them really involved in their curriculum. Health science, they're literally going to learn medical terminology, and there's going to be a lot of vocab in that class as well. In those courses, they have a large binder ring almost of flashcards. It's over, I don't know, a couple hundred. they're going to need to learn those terms, and they're going to be using those terms throughout their 4 years on our campus. So the things that we're doing isn't just to waste time, it's to benefit them in the long run. And then the last piece is just English. For one of the things I think that I've heard a lot of from English teachers is just that their reading and their reading comprehension is done at home. So especially if it's a short story, and if anybody, Ms. Farhis, if you want to come in, if there's any short stories that they can read, that would be beneficial. But having them reading on a constant basis will help, because at the end of this school year, they will be taking their English 1 STAR test. Ms. Farhis, did you have something you wanted to add?
Sure. Get on here. I'm not sure. Okay, there I am. Okay. Yeah, definitely. We always say we think it begins and ends with English, because again, if you can't read your theorems, you can't read your cards, you can't read anything, you know, you're not going to function in all of your classes. So when they get to school, I know a lot of times they're overwhelmed with just the amount of reading they do in school, but we stress that they have to be able to read outside of school also. That pleasure reading, that leisure reading is going to help them. So the more that they can read and then talk about what they're reading, it's going to help them in all of the other subjects.
Thank you, Ms. Farhis.
So definitely reading and talking about it and sharing it. No problem.
So one thing that has changed in the last few years is that we're doing a lot more online learning. We're doing a lot more assignments that are online, a lot more homework that is online. Some teachers may have already been doing it, but now that we've gotten a chance, all teachers have gotten a chance to do it regularly. I think that there's going to be a definite shift from the last several years to where a lot of assignments will be online. And a lot of times what ends up happening, this is something that we've heard a lot and we hear a lot, is that a student will come home and they will go to their room, and they have a spot in their room where they do their homework, and they have this area set up for homework. And so they'll get on their computer and they'll work for, I don't know, 5, 6, sometimes even 7 hours a night. And so they will be working. And you know, their parents will come in to check on them, and they'll go eat dinner, and then their parents will say, did you do your homework? And obviously most of the time the student's like, yes, I did my homework. And the parent just, okay, cool, did the homework. Good, everything's great. My students in high school now, they have everything under control. You know, they've been responsible this whole time. They're fine. One thing we would ask of you to make this process easier is, a lot of times students will come home and tell their parents that they did their homework or they're done and they've gotten everything finished. But a lot of times students have a hard time keeping up with the assignment. So they're scared to say, I'm not done with my homework. I have 7 more hours of homework left to do. So that's not usually the case, but they do have a lot of homework, and sometimes it ends up piling up and snowballing, and then kids are really overwhelmed and they don't tell their parents that they're overwhelmed. So one thing you can do to create a more open environment to where you can also be involved in your child's learning is by making sure that they're doing their homework in a spot that's open for everyone, like a family room or a dining room table where everyone's around them and just checking in on them. You know, students can take breaks while they're doing their homework. A lot of times students do take breaks while they're doing homework. They'll do homework for 30 minutes and take a 5-minute break, and that's okay. But we also want to make sure that students feel comfortable going to their parents and saying, look, I'm really struggling with this class. I've been on the same problem for 30 minutes. That way you are also involved in their learning, and also they don't feel so isolated and secluded from everybody because they're doing homework all by themselves. So creating that routine is going to be the best thing ever. A lot of times parents will find out later that their child isn't doing very well at school. They'll find out later through a progress report or a report card, and by that time it's too late. And then when you try to set up a routine after the fact, it becomes very hard to try to set up a routine once a child has created the routine on their own. So if you can start setting that up now before school starts, just getting that in place, then I think that's going to really make things easy.
One other thing I want to mention before I move on to the next slide is if your student is saying that they have like, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours of homework a night, that's a problem. We would never assign that much homework. We understand kids need their own mental break and they need outlets as well. We would not do that. So I would definitely check. That's why we encourage you guys to have them sit near you while they're doing it, because they're probably getting distracted very easily, and that's causing them to try to refocus, which takes a lot longer. So they should not take more than, I don't know. Well, we are going to have a current student who's going to be kind of giving you her kind of study plan and everything towards the end of the session. So I don't want to speak for her, but she will give you an idea of how much time on average your student should be spending on homework and or studying and assessments. So yeah, just making sure to say that. If you are new to the district, new to high school, of course, but also how to access the gradebook for your student, this is something I would definitely pay attention to. If you've already done it or you've already been using it at your student's prior campus, then you should be fine. A lot of students of mine have told me that their parents do not have access to their grades, which I find crazy. Whenever your student is in high school, I understand you want them to be young adults, but honestly, they don't know how to be a young adult yet. They still need your guidance and they still need your support in that. So my suggestion is to use the Parent Connect app, which I think, or Parent Connect system, which will connect to the gradebook. If you have never used it, I'll try to pull it up in a second, but it literally will show these screens. It'll allow you to create a new account. If your student has already created the account, it's time that they cough up that password and username, because whenever the student is missing homeworks, or if they've been spending 10 hours on homeworks, but they're still failing the class, there's something that needs to be investigated. So you definitely need to create an account if you've never made one. If the student has it, definitely use the sign-in. You can create multiple permissions for sign-ins for multiple people. So your spouse, the student's grandparents, family, any kind of person who wants to view it, including the student, can. It'll allow you to create a parent account, and it'll give you a view that looks very similar to this on their phone. My students will give me this view on their phone all the time and say, hey, how did I miss this homework? But yet their parents don't know how to get it. So I want to make sure you guys do. On the Parent Connect screen, this is on the desktop view, so the mobile phone will be a little different. If you have multiple students enrolled in Houston ISD schools, you'll see your students' names up here. From those different students, you can pick on whichever student you choose, and you can view their grades and attendance on this screen. As you can see here, it gives you all of your students' grades and the courses they're taking. I think the two columns that aren't really used too often or forgotten about are the absences and tardies. Tardies and absences will start to add up, especially if your student is planning or trying to opt out or exempt finals. That's not done until the spring semester, but we do look at their absences to see if the student is even eligible besides their grade, besides their numerical grade. Also at the bottom of the screen is the cumulative weighted GPA. This is, Mr. Jaffarelli, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the combination of all of their classes, correct? Yes, so it's a combination of all of their classes for their GPA. Obviously, this will fluctuate, but it'll give you an idea of, hey, if your student is really wanting to graduate with that 4.2 GPA, okay, well, how far are we away from that? What can we do differently? The last thing is that I'll mention, if you click on one of the grades, so this little circle here for sociology, let's see what's going on with Alan's 93 that he has. From there, you will be pulling up with the actual assignments for that class. From those assignments, it will give you a couple of different codes, which I think some parents don't realize. There's a legend at the bottom of the screen for that. So it'll tell you which grades are possibly missing, which ones are late, which ones were collected, just to give you an idea. So if you notice that a student is missing an assignment, especially if they have a 0 for it, that will tell you, hey, I need to make sure that my kid has done this. Or if you see that little red triangle next to a grade, it means that they probably turned it in late. If for some reason you can't access the screen like this, the Parent Connect, please make sure that you contact the representatives on our campus, which are Ms. Perez and Ms. Whiting. They will help you with not only updating your contact information for us, but also with accessing the gradebook for your student.
Okay, so we want to talk about the curriculum at DeBakey. I know that students came to Viper Camp and they heard that our school is hard. It's a very challenging school. It's a rigorous school, and there's a reason for that. It is a challenging school. We are the top, one of the top in the nation for a reason. It's because we challenge our students. And when I say challenge our students, not only are they getting challenged in math and science, this is a STEM high school, but they're also getting challenged in all their classes. Even in gym, they get papers. I've been told by students that they've written papers in gym class. So all their classes, including the extracurricular classes, are also going to be challenging. So to be successful at this school, you do have to have a plan in place, and you do have to have a good study plan or study skills set up. You have to have good time management skills. A lot of kids heard time management, make sure you know how to do time management. What does that mean? So our school is on a block schedule. What that means is a student is coming to my class. I teach geometry. So a student can come to my class. I teach pre-cal geometry. They can come to my class on Monday, but they're not going to see me again until Wednesday. And so unfortunately, what that makes the kids feel like they can do is they'll come to my class on Wednesday. They will they'll be really involved, participate a lot. They'll take notes. They'll do everything a good student does in class. And that's great. That's what I want to see. But what ends up happening is that after they leave my class, that's when everything goes downhill. After they leave my class, they'll have their science class, they'll have their history class, and then they'll have their other classes where they have other things going on. All day, they'll have classes that give them assignments and give them work that they have to get done throughout the day and the next day, and they have homework in all these other classes as well. Then the next day, they don't see me again. So the next day is Tuesday. They have a whole nother set of classes and a whole nother set of assignments that are due and given, and things that they do in class and projects that are given. And so they don't think about my class again until probably Tuesday night. This is unfortunately something that happens with a lot of our students, is that they don't have to think about geometry again until Tuesday night, because Tuesday night they're like, oh wait, I have geometry tomorrow morning. I have to do work for geometry. And so Tuesday night,
I think we lost her connection.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. So what ends up happening is that students will take my class on Monday, do everything they need to do on Monday, but they won't go back and review the material again for another day or a day and a half, even 2 days later. And so they forget everything. There is
Mr. Arfel, I think we lost you again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so there's been research done that says, I'm going to talk fast, so if I get cut off, then I can. Okay, if a student doesn't review material that has not, they don't review material in a set amount of time, they will lose that knowledge. They'll lose more than 50% of that knowledge if they don't review the material in 5 to 10 hours after seeing it the first time. So if you can just imagine, if they wait a whole day or 2 days after they've seen the material the first time, they've forgotten almost everything. About 90% of that knowledge is gone, and now they're having to relearn it. So instead of taking if I gave 20 problems a night, somebody that did the homework right after they got home for my class, it would probably take them less than an hour to do the 20 questions. But if they wait till Tuesday night, then they forget everything. Then they have to go back and be like, okay, what did I learn again? They have to go back and look at their notes. They have to go back and look at other resources because they forgot everything. They have to reteach themselves all of the material. So now, instead of something taking them less than an hour, it's going to take them 2 or 3 hours to do the same assignment. This is the problem that all the students face. They keep getting into this bad habit of not doing their work right away. And so the 2-3 hours of homework turns into 5 to 7 hours of homework because they fall into these bad habits. So our goal is to make sure your child is not only prepared academically, but personally, they're prepared to be a professional. So professionally, academically, and personally, they are good students, students that are successful in life, not just in their career, not just in college, but everywhere.
please make sure your mics are muted.
This guy's offering $50 for both adjustable bar stools.
Your mics are muted.
We don't.
Sorry, really quick with that, with what Ms. Jaffarelli was saying, that also kind of contributes to the excess of homework. If your student is saying, oh, I'm doing it for all these hours, but I'm not understanding it, it could be because they're waiting until literally the last minute to do their homework. So that's why we're saying those study skills and that time management, if you need help with it, definitely there's a good book that I think Ms. Jaffarelli might remember the name of, that will help your student with preparing for study skills that will kind of help them and benefit them in the future. Do you remember the name of it? Okay, yeah, she'll pull it up.
I'll put it in the chat.
And just verbally, in case people can't access the chat, do you remember the name of the book?
Yeah, let me find it.
Okay, well, once we find it on her next slide, she'll tell us what that is. But I've heard great things about it, and I've had a couple students who've used it before that will help. Ms. Farhi, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to exactly what Anita and Justina are saying. If you add also that if you do it on the night that it's assigned, you have the next day to go to tutorials and get help. So if you have homework Monday and you do it Monday, then you can go to tutorials on Tuesday, get some help on the homework, and then you're ready for Wednesday. If you wait Tuesday night, then obviously if you have first or second period, we don't have tutorials sometimes till midday. You're not going to get that help that you need. So that's another reason how tutorials can help you. The systems are there to help you. You have to use it though. If you don't.
Uh-oh, Ms. Farhi, you cut out.
There's nothing you can do. Am I there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so just that's another reason why we're saying it's important to do the homework the night of. And that's another system that can help you, because you can, even if sort of tutorials, you still have study groups that you can work with. Sometimes the next day the students can work in groups and say, hey, I've worked this problem through, I've read this assignment, what did you think? And they can get feedback from each other. But if you wait till the night before you have class, you don't get those, opportunities to get help. Okay, my 2 cents.
Thank you.
I did find the book. It's called Study Smart, Study Less. It is on Amazon and it is $12.99. So it is a very good book. I've shared it with a lot of my students, and they've been very successful.
Study smart.
Study smart, study less.
There you go. Study smart, study less.
One more thing I wanted to mention on this slide is a lot of parents will get tutors for their child, and if you're one of the parents that can afford that and have that, keep in mind that school also offers tutorials. Our teachers also offer tutorials. We're here, and it's still technically our summer, and we're still here, so we would love to be there for your children. We want to make sure that we are offering those opportunities, but the way that you can maximize your tutorials with someone separate as a tutor, or the teacher as a tutor. Teachers aren't going to offer, not all teachers offer tutorials every single day. So you really have to maximize the tutorial times that are there. Tell your child not to use tutorial time with tutors to do their homework. They need to go in when they have those times that are scheduled, either with a teacher or with a separate tutor. They need to take that time and do their homework beforehand, so that when they come to the tutor, they specifically have questions for the tutor that are questions they couldn't do on their own. If they can do it on their own, then what's the point of a tutor? So please make sure that they're taking full advantage of the tutors that you're paying good money for, or for us that you're not paying any money for. Please take advantage of our tutorials. Also, if a student doesn't learn, different students learn different ways. Some students are auditory learners, some students are visual learners. Every student learns a different way, just like every teacher teaches a different way. And a lot of teachers will teach the way that they learn best. So I learn visually. That's kinesthetic, visual. Those are my two main ways of learning. And so that's how I teach. I try to make sure that kids are doing stuff in my class and working together and talking to each other and seeing the things in action, seeing math, and experiencing the math. And so for me, that's really important to do stuff like that. But if your child doesn't learn that way, then maybe my tutorials may not be the best tutorials for them. They may learn better in a different teacher's tutorials, and we don't shame students for going to another tutorial teacher. So if they don't want to come to my tutorials, they can go to Ms. Tapia's tutorials. They can go to Mr. Chavarrieta's tutorials. Any math teacher will be willing to tutor your child. So for this one here, I told students that I was doing this presentation, and I told them that, to give me feedback on what exactly do they think parents should hear about coming to this school. So students gave me some suggestions and gave me some ideas. One of them was, and I know Marthella is going to talk about that later, and I think she's on this call now, but one of them is productivity apps. There's an app called Flora. We'll put it in the chat, but it's like Flower Flora. And then one is called Forest, and then the other one is called Study Bunny. And all of these apps kind of help with time management and helping students separate time from their schedule to study. So like they'll do like a 30-minute study block, and then there'll be like a 5-minute break. And so each of these apps help students try to regulate their studying. One of the other things is, again, going back to communicating with your child. If your child is coming to the school and they're having a hard time and they don't tell you about it, then it's going to be really shocking when you see the progress report and they have an 80, or God forbid, they have a 60 on a grade for a class. And they've never had grades like that. A lot of times students will say that they feel immense pressure from their parents, because parents just get shocked about about their grades, and they don't want to show their parents their grades because, oh my God, they're going to see how bad they're doing. And students are ashamed sometimes because they've never been in a situation where they've ever had a grade that was that low. Keep in mind, progress report is not the final grade. That's actually not even the grade that colleges will see. In fact, cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, none of those grades. Colleges will not see any of those grades. So just keep that in mind. We need to give our children a grace period. It's an adjustment coming to high school for any student, and coming to DeBakey is an even bigger adjustment. So we need to try to be understanding, and we need to be patient with our children. We also need to know that their workload is going to be pretty heavy. There is going to be a lot going on with your child in terms of how much homework they get. So if as a parent, you can be understanding and make sure that you don't schedule things for them to do in the weekends. I've had parents tell me, oh, we went out of town. We go out of town every, twice a month. Every other weekend we go out of town. That makes it really hard for students to do homework. So just keep that in mind, that their schedules are going to change. Patricia Ayala, we already had meetings with students about some of this stuff when we did the Viper Camp, and a lot of students who volunteered who were not freshmen, juniors and seniors also got a chance to have those conversations as well. So a lot of times we do share that information in assemblies as well. So something else to keep in mind is that students feel, like I said, a lot of pressure. They put a lot of pressure on themselves. Like I said, most of them have never been in this situation. They've never had to undergo as much struggle as they do in some of their challenging classes at this school. And so they put pressure on themselves, but also their peers put pressure on them. When they get an assignment back, or a homework assignment or a quiz grade back, they'll compare quizzes. What'd you get? I got this. Or, you're not taking 7 AP classes. And, they're just a lot of these students are very, competition is a big thing at our school. So they definitely have those conversations, and they're already pressuring themselves. They're getting pressure from their peers. And then the school itself is, a school where the teachers give them, have high expectations of them. So as teachers, as parents, if we can try to lessen that load and remind the students that no matter what grade they get, at the end of the day, if they work hard and they follow the the advice from you and from the teachers, and if they do the strategies we give them, then they will be successful. There's no way that every student can be successful at our school. They just need to believe in themselves. They need to work hard. They need to do everything we're telling them to do so that they can build those skills and be successful. But we got to remind them, because sometimes they get very disheartened.
So one of the items that we, at least in the math department, since your students are more than likely coming in going to enter Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, even if your student's going to be in pre-cal, we'll likely use the Math Excel program. So this is just for us. If we had more opportunities for like science and everywhere, we would love to show you that too, but we're just going to do it for the stuff we mainly use, just to give you guys an idea. So Math Excel is accessible through the hub. Unfortunately, I know some parents are hating hearing the hub right now because of last school year. However, I'm going to try to show you how to access it. And my suggestion is also to either have your student write down their login for the hub, and or have them sit with you once or twice a week and show you what they're doing in their homework assignment, so that way you can be involved in it. The easiest way is to kind of keep that line of communication open. And I mean, if your student doesn't want to do it, odds are they have a cell phone. You can always take that from them. That's my suggestion. But for their Math Excel homeworks, this is for us a completion grade. And usually we'll give not the completion grade, excuse me. We expect them to complete it, and it's for their actual grade, so whatever grade they earn. A fun fact, anytime a student is given a Math Excel homework assignment, they should never earn anything less than 100. They have unlimited opportunities to take this assignment. They have unlimited attempts on it. If your mic is on, please turn it off. We can hear you. For the Math Excel assignments, as you can see here, this is the view you're going to see. It'll tell you in green if it's completed or not. If your mic is on, please turn it off. Also, it'll give you the due date as well. So the due date will kind of be there for you to see. And if it's after the due date, it'll also be there. Ms. Jaffarali likes to say that you shouldn't have anything less than 100. So this 86 right here is probably not the best. The students have unlimited attempts on their questions that they do. So as long as they submit it by the deadline, they should get full credit. But if they don't submit, or if they don't do a question completely, or if they just choose to skip it, they will see a decreased grade. But their Math Excel should always be 100, and it gives them plenty of practice problems to do.
So we're not trying to be very strict here by saying they should always be hundreds. The reason we're saying that is because when you actually open up the questions themselves, there is a button on top that says question help. They can get help on that specific question. They can walk through the question with the computer, or they can even ask the teacher. Most of the math teachers are available by email or by Remind, another application, and students can ask us anytime. And their homework isn't due until the next class day, so they have time to work on this. So there's no reason why a student should. And then if they get the question wrong, they can do it again and again and again, a million times if they want to. So so definitely make sure that they get hundreds. If you see even a 95, I would say that that's a red flag that your student is not doing the best they can on their Math Excels.
Another view I want you to see, because of course, when you sit with your student or when your student gives you this access, I want you to understand what this screen is. So it's still the same screen that I just showed you, but in this top corner, it'll allow you to see a few different items. It'll allow you to see all of the assignments, as you can see here. It'll allow you to see the assignments that students have not started and the ones that are in progress. Completed is the ideal green light that you want to see for all of their assignments. This green means that they've completed it and they completed it entirely. The not started is like this one all the way down here in black. This one, unfortunately, means that the student has not opened it and they have not attempted a single question. That's a red flag. And it's also, unfortunately, late. So unfortunately for the student, they're not going to get credit or not going to get full credit. They'll probably receive late credit, but they will need to turn it in as soon as possible. The last one is the in progress in blue. In progress usually means that your student has opened the assignment and has at least done 1 or 2 questions. However, they haven't completed it. So that's why we want to make sure that you understand the different pieces of this. So make sure that if you do see something in progress, and hopefully it's before the due date, encourage them to finish it that night or that day, so that way they can get full credit for it and get as many points as possible. Again, this is just one area that we use, at least in the math department, especially for incoming freshmen and sophomores. Another tool that we use is Go Formative. This isn't just used in the math department. I've seen history teachers, biology teachers use it, so it kind of varies from teacher to teacher. But in this view, you might see it being used for assignments as well. And the assignments, it's it's a little more straightforward in the sense that it will show you if something has been submitted. It'll tell you also if something is about to end, so if something's about to close. It'll also tell you if there's any assignments that can be opened. This assignment here, as you notice, is graded, so it's already given the student 100. However, there's multiple attempts. So as long as the student attempts the assignment, I guess more than once if they need to, they can always get the best grade they can. So if you're noticing this and the student has a 50 here, I would probably encourage them to go back to that assignment and rework it so that way they can get a better grade for it. And then the last part, unfortunately, down here, as you notice for this one, for the metric conversions, this one has already been submitted, but it's grayed out. Unfortunately, this is not an assignment that can be done multiple times. So unfortunately, the 29 that your student has earned is going to be their grade. However, this will give you an idea of, okay, what assignments has my student done? Which assignments does my student still need to work on? And again, this is just a couple of apps that we use in our classes that your student will likely use in theirs. So it's just to kind of familiarize yourself with the materials. So on the hub, I know a lot of parents do not like the hub, but I'm going to try to pull it up really quickly. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, good. I shared the whole thing. So with this, you can go to, so let's just say this is a regular, I guess, Google. Ms. Jaffarelli, walk me through it. What am I doing?
So you just type in HISD and then hub. And clearly it's been searched a lot because it was the very first thing that showed up.
So we're going to click on the first item, of course, and that was the screen that we were just on. So we're just going to scroll down to hub sign in. And your student, this is where your student's credentials are required. Unfortunately for us, it doesn't give us a parent option to log in because these are connected to your student's classes. That's why me and Ms. Jaffarelli are suggesting either sit with your student once or twice a week to access this or ask them for their login. The login, it will allow them to log in with their HISD credentials. Especially if they're at home, they're going to have to go through another screen. But since I'm on campus, I kind of get to bypass it, I hope. Thought it was frozen, make me authenticated. And this is the screen you're going to see. At the very top, you have a bunch of different options. The students, this is a teacher access, so your student will probably not see a few of these items, but in order to access their Math Excel homework, they're going to go to digital resources, and it's usually on the bar, the purple bar at the top already. On the digital resources, it'll give you a list of different items. It doesn't necessarily mean that your student is going to use all of those. It's just what the district has paid for. In order to access, honestly, the biology textbook and the math textbook that we were just showing you, the students are going to scroll down to the math section because there's a bunch of different ones. And they can either use the Algebra 1 through Algebra 2 textbook or the geometry. It brings you to the same place. It honestly will bring you to the same place for their biology textbook. I don't want to mess it up, so I don't know which of these down here. But if you use the Algebra 1 or Geometry 1, it'll get you to the same place where their science homework is. Unfortunately, since the semester hasn't started, I can't show you the ins and out and all the intricate pieces of this, but your student, as the semester starts, can sit with you and show you this themselves, because we do plan on going through this within the first couple days of school. In the classes, they will likely see their math class and their science class. So that's the first place that I would recommend going. Since I don't have any classes assigned to me yet, I can't add it, so that will just have to be at a later time. But this will be an easy way for you to access the materials. The last thing that I wanted to show you, and remember, this is recorded, so don't try to take notes crazy because we're going to record this. The last thing on the hub was the groups, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Ms. Jaffarelli? The groups. Unfortunately for our campus, especially since some things are very specific to just our student population, we don't want the whole world knowing about it. We'll post most of our announcements that pertain to students in the Michael E. DeBakey group that all of your students will be able to access through the hub. This will give any exemption type things, any announcements about school forms, school lunch things, all of that stuff will be posted here. We try to post as many things as possible on the HISD DeBakey website, but there are going to be some announcements that are also going to be posted here. So I understand the frustration. I completely get it. My suggestion is to sit with your student and have them show you, okay, show me the DeBakey website on the hub. Let's see what things are coming up, especially during finals. You guys can prepare transportation as well.
That's why it would be really important for you to have the login information so you can go in and stay up to date with everything that is going on at school. We just can't share everything on the school website because some of this stuff is very particular to our school, but also it's important to make sure that we keep some of this stuff just for students and not have it available for everyone.
Mr. Ackerley, was there anything else you wanted me to show on here?
There is a calendar on the hub. So if you click on that, you will see the general calendar. Some teachers use the calendar on the hub. Some teachers give out a calendar, and some teachers will do a calendar in their classroom. So just make sure that your child stays up to date on all of those different types of ways that teachers share information. Also, did we already go over courses?
No, that was the last thing.
Okay, so if you click on courses, right now there's no courses because school hasn't started yet, but usually when they click on courses, they will see their courses, and each class has a separate course page, and all the teachers' information is usually, like, all the classwork that is virtual is online on this course page.
So like we said, definitely within the first week or so of school, sit down with your students, talk with them about how to access the hub, have them show you what to do. But it is, I think, a very good tool for you as the parent and them as the student for you guys to have that communication about what is on the hub and what's available. Mr. Afrelli.
So for this one here, this is what I was just talking about, where some teachers give out calendars in the math department. All the math teachers give out a calendar for the whole cycle. Sometimes it changes, and we do share updates with students, but for the most part, we do try to stick to it as much as possible. That calendar is given out to everyone. It's a printed copy, so definitely make more copies of it. Put it all over your house. That would be great. We would love that. Then other teachers do calendars different ways. I know that I've been told that some teachers will post calendars in the hub. Some teachers will post calendars in their classroom, like they'll have it posted about what's coming up and important dates to keep in mind. And then also something else to keep in mind is that everyone has, if you have a smartphone, Google phones and Apple phones have calendars on their phones, so you can also use that. Something else to keep in mind is if you look at this calendar here, if you look at the second week, there are actually the. Are we looking at a different calendar? Oh, no, we're not. We just looked at it earlier. Okay, so if you look at the second week, we have 3 days where there's no quizzes and tests, but there are homeworks on those days. And then the last 2 days of that week, there are quizzes. Now, keep in mind, remember, we only have classes every other day. So that just means there's one quiz for A day on the 11th, and then there's one quiz for B day on the 12th. So that's what our schedules look like. They do have the homework posted. So if your child comes home and says, I don't have any homework, I did all my homework, well, they may have done that Delta math assignment that was due on whatever date that says, but they also have a quiz coming up. So they really do have homework that they can get ahead on. They can start studying they should not study for their quizzes at the right before the quiz. They should be studying regularly throughout the time before their quiz. So those are the types of things that we need your help with in terms of helping students prepare for these quizzes and tests. Something else to keep in mind, once you have this calendar, you can also look at it and plan your activities around it. So let's say that you wanted to schedule a dentist appointment for your son or daughter. You could do that on the 8th, 9th, or 10th, because on those days there is no quiz or test in class. I mean, we would prefer you not miss school at all, but if you have to miss school, then do it on a day there's not a quiz or a test.
And of course, especially since each teacher and each subject will likely give out their own kind of things, don't just look at one teacher's schedule. Like, look at all of their classes. The least amount of assessments they have to make up, the better, because then it takes us longer to return the quizzes and tests based on student absence as well. So just something to consider.
So for this slide here, we want to make sure that you are aware of the fact that even though the school is challenging, even though your child, I think somebody mentioned in the chat earlier, and I didn't want to say anything because we have this slide on this presentation for a reason. We want to make sure that you know that we're not just a school that just works our students to death. We want to make sure that they are doing things to take care of themselves emotionally and physically. They're doing exercise, they're doing their hobbies, they're enjoying their life and being teenagers. They need to have that time as well. But again, we like I said, we have a challenging program, but it's not impossible to say that a student cannot come to this school. We're going to have a couple of students actually just in a few minutes talk about their own experiences at this school and talk to you about how this school is and what their experience has been like. But encourage your child to take part in things that they enjoy doing, hobbies. If they're into sports, tell them to continue doing those sports. If they're into a musical instrument, tell them to keep doing that stuff. Not to the point where it becomes a task and another item on their to-do list, but something that's enjoyable to them, that they can actually feel like a human being and not feel, take the time for themselves, to take care of themselves and enjoy their life and enjoy things that they like to do. Something else is that they do need that 100 hours of community service. So if they, don't have that yet, and if they are worried about that, tell them to join clubs. Clubs are a fun way for students to get those hours and interact with people. That's the name of my club, but really do interact with people because, that's something. I think that's the biggest thing right now. I think that I'm stressed out because I've seen students really withdraw from society, like in general. I don't know if you have seen that with your children, but I've seen so many students completely they used to be so social and now they're kind of withdrawn and they're very, they have this anxiety about social interactions and social, just anything social. They don't want to do it. And so it's scary to see that because they've lost a lot of these social skills in the last couple of years because we've been virtual, because they haven't had the chance to interact with their peers and get engaged in the classroom as much as before. Turning on your mic apparently is really, really scary for some of these students. So doing some of these things and getting involved, even with when you have family, family things, that family get-togethers and get-togethers with your friends, encourage them to get involved with your family and encourage them to speak up and talk to everyone, because we need to build those skills back up. That's a skill for life they need to have. And it's very unfortunate that we have had the situation that we've had, but we need to get back on it and fix this because it's a very big problem, but we can fix it and it's not too late.
Ms.
Yes.
Jeffrey, you bring up a good points there on that page there, and that is very important. I know in the field of education, the social and emotional learning has been front and center the past 7-8 years. It's been around for a while, but it's been more front and center, and even now with the pandemic, it becomes one of those top priorities in the classroom and in the school building. I think I added this on the chat already. So when it comes to student IDs, we are required by the state. The state passed a lot of legislation this past spring. One of those pieces was that with any Texas school issuing student ID badges, we are required to put in the back a suicide prevention and a 24-hour crisis hotline information on the back of ID badges. So I don't want parents here or students saying like, is this a DeBakey thing or is this a HIZ thing? It's actually a Texas thing. So that just resonates with the messaging that it's very important. It's front and center, and it's one of those areas that we are almost taking instructional time away from the classroom to focus on another aspect of the well-being of our students there, and that's that their social and emotional learning and well-being. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saldivar. I added this last slide in just, I want to say last night. It was really late, and I remembered. I was like, oh, wait, I have to say this. And one of the reasons why is because I've been getting, I'm the one that's been filling your inboxes these last couple of months with Viper Camp emails and math summer packet emails and emails about this session. So I'm the one that's sending you all these emails, and I'm getting a lot of emails back. And a lot of times, even just today, I've gotten so many emails. Where's, some people didn't have the link to this presentation. So I understand some of these emails were sent very last minute and there was a rush. But one thing that I really, really want you to do is make sure you always include information in your email so that teachers can contact you after the fact. So I've gotten a lot of emails. Where's the link? And no name, no phone number, no information. Same thing with Viper Camp. I got a lot of emails during Viper Camp with general information. I want to sign up. And I don't know if it was a student, if it was a parent, I don't have any information. I don't have their phone number. So just if you can make sure to include your child's first and last name, your child's class period with the, what that teacher. So if your child has me A2, then make sure you mention, my child, Johnny Sosa, is in your A2 class. My name is, give me your first and last name, give me your phone number. So some teachers may not use the phone number, some teachers may not call. I know we have a lot on our plates. Every year, teachers are literally bombarded. So we may not have the time to call, but if you provide your phone number, I might just be in the mood to pick up my phone and give you a call. A lot of times I do that, guys. So please, please, please share your phone number in those emails. Make sure that you're keeping up to date with emailing and contacting teachers. I love to hear from parents. I think it's really important that we build that connection, and we do support your child from all sides. So it's really, really important. We also have certain teachers will also have applications they use to send updates to students and parents. So one that we use, I know Ms. Tapia uses it, I use it, it is the Remind application. And there's all this information that we share through that application. So that is another way you can contact your teacher. I would say, however, that for Remind, please don't send confidential information, or not that it's going to get shared with anyone, but still it's not necessarily a completely secure platform. So make sure that if it's something about grades or some specific concern you have, please send that through email.
I think to add on to that just a bit, whenever, especially since we have gone to the Power School system for teachers as far as the grade books, from what I've seen is some of the parent contact has not been transferred. And I'm not saying necessarily any specific student or parent, but just to kind of make sure that if you want to make sure that we can contact you if needed, making sure to include your name, your student's name, a phone number, another alternate email address if you have it, just to make sure that we have that communication available. This screen is for the school supplies for, at least for the math department. Like I said, your student is going to probably be in either Algebra 1, Geometry, or Algebra 2. Or if your student's in pre-cal, well, especially if they're with me or Ms. Jaffarali, we're going to use the supplies that are on this screen. I would highly suggest using it. If you can't use the QR code, the website is literally from the HISD DeBakey website. Just go to the math department and it's on there for the recommended supplies. So Ms. Varghese, did you want to add anything possibly for English, or is it going to vary by teacher?
Right now, it's going to vary by teacher for school supplies. Obviously, it's going to depend on what level they are to, how much they need, the grade level. The most important thing right now would to be sure that they've gone on the DeBakey website, and that they've gotten their summer
Summary.
So for ninth graders, have the two books, right? You have the two books that you could choose one or the other to read. And if you have a ninth grader that's coming in that already has credit for ninth grade, then they should be reading the 10th grade summer reading book if they know they're coming into the English 2. So all of that information is there for you on the DeBakey website. I think right under school announcements and news, it says the summer information, and it's there for math, it's there for science, English, all of the information is there for you.
Ms. Varghese, we did have a question. There was a parent earlier in our in-person session that asked us about reading, like summer reading for 12th grade. Is there summer reading for 12th grade? There should be, right? There's
Yes.
some reading for every grade. Okay,
Yes.
that's what I told her.
There's
Just didn't know for sure.
Actually, yeah. I don't know if it'll let me show it to you. Can you see it on my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, if they go to the summer assignments and you click on the English, it'll give you the list. There's the 12th grade.
Okay, perfect.
There's the 11th grade, the 10th grade, and the 9th grade.
Okay, thank you.
And if I can just add, since you were just talking about it, if I can just quickly add, I'm an English teacher at DeBakey. I graduated from DeBakey in 1990. I've been teaching at DeBakey since 1998, and I just had a daughter graduate from DeBakey. But it is a doable program where you can do the work and have extracurricular. My daughter wrote novels. She played the viola. She went to dance classes outside of DeBakey, and she also excelled. Now, my daughter's a procrastinator. It was not easy for her. She is a procrastinator. Time management is her crux. So it was a struggle, but she was able to do it all. And she did say at the end, you know, Mommy, this would have been much easier for me if I had managed my time. But the help is there, the setup is there. My husband and I sat down with her to map out to see if any of this was uneven or it was overwhelming. It is doable, but it is a rigorous program. What I will say is if you stick to the program, it will benefit you. Now, the question was asked about GPA and do they look at how difficult our school is? Unfortunately, they don't, right? They don't see DeBakey and go, oh, well, you know, they went to rigorous program. But even HISD says there are schools that may not have as rigorous of a program, that kids may have a higher GPA, may be easier for them to get in college, but our percentage of graduates that graduated 4 years from college is much higher than any other school in HISD. And HISD themselves say that. So it does teach them self-advocating. It does teach them time management, organization, and how to get through college on their own for 4 years. So, but you have to stick with us. You've got to work the program. Everyone wants to come in and tell us how we should change the program to suit their child. That's not what's been causing us success. Now, are we perfect? Absolutely not. Do we have glitches here or there? Can we improve? Absolutely. And we do that. There are stories that I did last year that I had feedback from my students that I'm not going to repeat this year because it didn't work for them. So we are constantly molding and we are constantly improving, but it is doable. But it takes a team. It takes teacher, parent, and student to work together, and you can do this. So welcome. We're excited to have you here.
Okay. The only thing I was just going to show was just the list for the math department. So Ms. Varghese showed you the summer assignments, which we do have them for English and math. But also if you go to the math department academics, that list that we were talking about for their supplies is literally right here, the school supplies. So you can just follow this and it will give you everything you need for it.
On the list, it is a little bit confusing. If you could go back to it, Ms. Tapia, really fast. I had a question earlier. There is, we do request graph paper separate from the notebook, and then we do require a graph paper notebook. Try to get a graph paper notebook. I know that there are college ruled notebooks. If you want to get that as well, that's fine to have as on the side, but we are going to be using the graph paper notebook, all 100 pages. In fact, if there's more than 100 pages, it's even better. Some of the notebooks actually have like 150 pages. That's okay if there's more pages, but please make sure it has that hard plastic cover. It has the pocket in the front. It's graph ruled 4 squares per inch. And then it has that over 100 pages, and then it is that 11 by 8.5 or larger.
I promise, guys, the 70 page spiral will not work. I've had that every year where students tried to slip it in. It doesn't work. So please.
Something else to keep in mind, somebody mentioned school supplies are selling out. I understand that. This is just something that high schools do. I wish I could get a list of my students and my final list of parent emails before school started. Everyone knows I would use it like crazy. I've already been using it. But unfortunately, in high school, the school supply list is given out the first day of school by each teacher. Unless you know which teacher you're going to have well in advance, you may be able to ask the teachers or email the teachers. Maybe they can send it to you, but that's just how high school is.
I don't know if Miss Ake is on this call. Miss Ake, if you're on here, interrupt me. The PTO is very involved in our campus. They do a lot. They understand, especially if you're an incoming freshman or sophomore parent, they understand the struggle that your student has to go through. They understand the struggle as a parent. We have freshman to senior level parents in this PTO group. So they're very involved on campus. So even if you can't commit to a weekly, bi-weekly meeting or monthly meeting, at least try to attend one a semester because it's very informative. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're planning to have a nutritionist come to talk to parents about the importance of certain foods with having, or not certain foods, but in preparing students for school with the foods that they're eating. And also probably some other pieces as well. So
if Ake isn't on the call, maybe somebody else is in the call from PTO that can share any updates or if they want to talk about anything.
I can just add for the PTO, we're planning for that 50th anniversary. So of course, as many parents that can join and give us feedback on any ideas for marketing or events they would like to see. We're hoping to do a week-long events for parents, for students, for alumni. So of course, more parents that can join the PTO and give us feedback and join that committee for the 50th anniversary that's coming up. You know, we would appreciate that. Of course, we also have the wall, our fundraising wall that's up at the school that you can also purchase a plaque to put on the wall. We're selling also our aprons, our DeBakey aprons that you can purchase. That's a fundraiser for the school also. So again, usually the meetings are very informative and the principal usually gives us updates. So at least if you can attend, they're usually just one. You know, if you can attend, you get a lot of information and again, giving us support. We have a great PTO. They're always using the funds to help the teachers with things that we fall short, textbooks, those kinds of things that HIC is not able to give us or the school can't afford because we're such a small school. They're really great support. So the more that you can join and participate, the greater it's going to be for all of us.
And just want to make sure that you guys understand. From my understanding, Miss Ake was saying, which is the president of the PTO, she was saying the meetings have all been virtual this whole school year. And I think with the plan now is that they're going to continue having virtual meetings due to COVID. But I mean, that might change, but then again, school might change if about virtual and everything. So as of now, I believe the meetings are going to continue to be virtual.
If you have questions, if you could put them in the chat for now, or if you could just hold on to them for just a few minutes longer. We are going to get right now a couple of students to share their perspectives of how school has been for them, how DeBakey's been for them. We have one senior that's on campus that's going to share her perspective, and then we have two juniors that are also on the call. And if we want to stop sharing.
That's fine.
Hi, Ms. Jaffarelli. This is Sophia from the PTO. I'm the membership chair, and I was just going to ask everyone to please join the PTO. The link to join is on the DeBakey website. It's free to join. This year, we also have a drop down for, there's lots of ways to contribute. As Ms. Verghese was saying, please consider buying a plaque on the wall. Several plaques available. It's $500. You can have your family's name there, so please sponsor it. There's aprons, so there's a whole bunch of things that just joining the PTO, you will get a lot of good information. And because those meetings are virtual, you do get a lot of information. So please consider joining the PTO. It's a very simple form that you can fill out on the website, and we hope to really increase our membership.
Thank you so much for explaining that. Thank you. Okay, so we have three people here. We have Isha, we have Marthella, and we have Hanan. I'm just going to let you guys go. Let's go ahead and get Isha first, and then we'll do Marthella and then Hanan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Isha, and I'm a rising senior. I'm so glad you guys are on the call today. So because I'm a rising senior, I'm starting the college applications process. And because of that, I've had to reflect on my time here at DeBakey. And so throughout this presentation, I'll talk a little bit about my reflections and what a week in my life looks like. So to begin with, I wake up around 6, 7 a.m. and to get to school, and I'm home from anywhere from 4 to 5. So besides that, I spend about 1 to 2 hours studying and 2 to 4 hours on homework almost every day. So when I get home, I take a little break, watch some TV, eat a snack, and then I start my homework. And usually if I have an extreme amount of note-taking or reading to do that night, I use a different system. So instead of staying up to finish those notes, I instead go to bed early, maybe around 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and then wake up around 4 or 5 a.m. to get those notes done because my mind is more fresh in the morning. So in addition, I'm going to talk a little bit about study skills. So in the presentation, we went over what you can do in different classes. And so in my personal experience, I found that like different things work for each student. It's not a universal one-size-fits-all sort of thing. I have friends who take extensive notes and review those to study. I could never do that. I have friends who use Quizlet or some other form of studying. I personally, for math, I practice as many questions as I can. For reading books and English classes, I try to take notes and annotate while I'm reading. For history, it's the same. And for science, I like reviewing my notes over and over and doing practice questions. So throughout my journey at DeBakey, I found some key points that I would like to share with y'all. The first is being priorities. It's very important to have your priorities in line. When I came to DeBakey, I knew this is what I wanted to do for the next 4 years of my life. I wanted to study. I wanted to be in this environment where hard work was a key to success. And so having that in mind, I was able to push myself and work hard here. Another key point I would like to bring up is balance. It's very important to balance between your school life and your personal life and your extracurriculars. Even if you're studying X amount of hours, it's still important to hang out with friends or family or spend time with your pet, whatever it is, to relax a little bit. Lastly, resilience. DeBakey is a tough school, as you've probably heard by now, and it's very important to push through. I know you guys can do this, and your students and kids will succeed as well, so just push through. My father has asked me countless times if I would like to drop out of DeBakey and transfer somewhere else, but every single time he's asked me, I've told him no, because DeBakey has offered me so many opportunities. I have exposure to the medical field, a tight-knit community of friends, teachers who inspire and mentor me. It's been an incredible experience. So if I had to do it all over again, I would. Thank you.
Good afternoon, guys. My name is Marcella. I'm a rising junior at DeBakey, and just like Isha, I have been told countless times by my parents that I should consider dropping out. And just like Isha, I always repeat the same, no, I'm here for a reason. There is always something that draws me back to this school. I'm not sure what it is, but I feel like there's something about it, and you'll realize that as soon as you come in person. I've been telling a lot of sophomores and just general underclassmen that as I've seen them for these past 2 weeks, and I'm excited for everyone to finally know what I'm talking about. But aside from that, my schedule is also similar to Isha's and similar to a lot of DeBakey students in the sense that I wake up so early and sleep so late, because there's just such a big chunk of work and a lot of studying that goes into maintaining grades at this school, that any time that is ever available, I use to study, to do homework, to do extracurricular stuff. For example, I'm very active in Interact Club. I am the vice president, or one of the vice presidents this year. I was one of the vice presidents this year. And my club, that club means so much to me that I put any extra effort I can into it and into helping it grow and develop. So I found, on the topic of clubs, I found a lot of great friends and a lot of great opportunities for growth and development socially through clubs. And I've also just found really great ways to help myself through helping others in clubs like Interact. I do feel that giving back to communities and giving back to other people who are in need, not necessarily people that I don't know, but even people at school, people in grades below me. I found that that really helps me improve not only myself, but improve others at the same time. Yeah. So back to the topic of studying, I do have a few apps that I do recommend and that I do want to go over. And those apps are, as mentioned in the chat and mentioned earlier, Flora, Forest, and Study Bunny. So the first app is Forest, and this is the one I personally use because when I study, let me take off the blur. I use the Pomodoro technique, and that kind of allows me to have breaks during my study sessions. So the Pomodoro technique follows 25 minutes of straight studying and 5-minute breaks. So that really helps me because I do feel like I get the solid chunk of studying done, and I also get an extra 5 minutes to like play with my dog, talk to my family, change the music, change the podcast if I need to, any of that, right? And I feel that it's the way I'm most productive. I'm sorry, guys, I'm trying to take off the blur. Oh, there we go. So back to the apps. This is Forest. The great thing about Forest is that it does have a deep focus option, and the deep focus option allows whoever is using the app to completely shut down any other apps on their phone. So if I set a timer for 25 minutes and I try to plant my tree and I exit the app and, for example, go access another app like Netflix, Forest will send me a notification that says that I am in my study session and that my tree is dying. And if I do not make it back to the app in time, it kills my tree. So it's kind of a guilt trip, but I find that it works for me. So yeah, and you can actually track your study progress by looking at your forest. It actually shows you like a little grid of grass. Sorry, I forgot the word for grass. A little grid of grass, and it shows you all the trees you've planted and all the trees you've killed. So I really find that it helps me visualize my growth and my study time instead of just like setting a timer and forgetting about it and exiting any app and exiting all of my things and just forgetting about it because it's just a timer. The two other apps I recommend are Study Bunny and Flora. So Study Bunny is another rewards-based app, study app, and it's actually kind of cute because you get this little bunny, and every time you study, you get coins or points. So if you study for 30 minutes, I believe you get 10 coins, and those study points as coins can be redeemed for like hats for the bunny, furniture for the bunny's room, food for the bunny. And it's really helpful because if you do like seeing like little cute things while you study and like also visualizing your study progress, it helps because like obviously the more stuff you have in the room, the more studying you've done. So it's really cute. I re-downloaded it to show you guys. So that's why my room isn't like full of stuff. I'm sorry. The last app is Flora, and Flora is kind of the same. It's in the same theme as Forest. Flora is free, but the great thing about Flora is that you can charge yourself for ending your study session. So you can set up like a price from $5 to $100 for ending your study session. So every time you kill a tree, you're paying because you killed that tree. So you're paying because you didn't study. So if I set a $5 charge for not studying, I would just set up Apple Pay and it would charge me. So if I left the app, like if I went back to Netflix, it would tell me that I will be charged $5 for not completing my study session. And I feel like that's another really great way to visualize and actually like see the consequences of not studying, because it is charging you, and that is $5 that is out of your pocket now.
It might be good to also mention the whole planting trees. They actually do plant trees, right? Yeah. It's not just like in the app. It's an actual, they actually plant trees in the world.
Yeah, they plant these trees, I think, in regions that have been affected by fires or just by like overpopulation and stuff like that. So it's a really great guilt trip. Like, I know that's kind of not the point, but it really helps. And these are obviously just suggestions. Study Bunny and Flora are it's $1.99, but it is the one that helps me because it does have deep focus mode. And I feel the consequences of deep focus mode. Yeah. These are just the apps I wanted to go over with you guys.
Thank you, Marthella. Anita, did you have another student or no?
Yes, Hanan's going to be also sharing.
Okay.
Okay, hi, I am Hanan. I don't know how to follow that up. Marcella, you did so well, literally. And now I'm very tempted to spend $2 just to grow my little tree. And yeah, and actually, unlike Marcella and Isha, I'm kind of like the disaster student. My schedule is not necessarily the most organized because both of them use like apps, they organize their stuff better. But what I find that I do works best for me, and it's important to have multiple student perspectives. So if it's okay, Ms. Jaffrali, I did send you a schedule copy. So if it's okay, if you can put that up. And I can start explaining my schedule because basically how it usually goes. It differs between online and in person, where you add in times kind of for the morning and for the afternoon, where you go, just going to school, going back from school. And basically, during the school day, what I try to do is that whenever there's any time and whenever we get assigned like small assignments and stuff like that, basically what I like to do is just to do these assignments as soon as I can. Like, let's say there's a little bit of time in class to do the work. I try and do it by the time that the class ends so that I don't have to take it home and do my homework then. And usually for much larger assignments, usually I'd leave those till the end of the day. So after the school day usually ends, during lunch, whenever we're in person, I like to go to, tutorials for teachers such as math or English or science whenever I need that. Because a lot of the time I don't want to stay too long after school, right? Because then I'd end up staying till 5 and then go home till 6, then I won't have time to rest, anything like that. And, usually I did need a lot of help, especially for math in freshman year. And at first I was kind of hesitant to jump on that opportunity. However, I think it's a really good idea. Like, go for it. Go for those tutorials. They literally help so much. You actually get to work through these problems and spend time on individual things that you're struggling with. And basically, yeah, after school, sometimes tutorials are really great to stay for because some teachers don't necessarily have too much time during lunch and you would spend a little bit more time working on your problems. And usually when I go home, I like to have until 6 to 7 p.m. usually to rest. So I'd give myself about 3 or so hours of rest. Sometimes the day is exhausting and I take a nap. So it's, my rest would technically be that nap. A lot of the time I also like to spend time with family. I like to listen to music, draw, work on arts and crafts. Sometimes I go a little bit overboard. I go and wait until 8 p.m. just to give myself a little bit of fun, relaxed time. And you know what, 8 p.m. seems like a late time to start work, but I know that for me and a lot of DeBakey students as well, we find that the night is best if we want to concentrate, right? And it helps me a lot to work during the night. And usually what I like to do is start with what's due first. Or, if it's a small assignment, then I do what's assigned first. If I have like one sheet of paper, I just get that done, like 15 minutes. But after that, usually I'd spend at least an hour for each class of the day and start with what's due first. So I do big stuff like essays, math work, math problems, stuff that requires your concentration, like science problems. That I try and get out the way first. And usually by the time, for online school, we have to submit stuff by 12 a.m. So usually I try and get that done by 12 a.m. and submit it, by the time it hits 11, give myself a little bit of an hour and take like a 10 to 15 minute break between each assignment. And then after that, when it hits like 11 to 12, this is usually when I start doing kind of the busy work type work, which is like notes, big packets, long-term projects. And I like to, do those later because at that point I won't need as much concentration as, let's say, a math problem would take. Because, for math you have to focus on each and every step and everything like that. And so I like to do those later in the night. And usually I'd end realistically at about 2 a.m., 2 to 3 a.m. And that's when I go to sleep. And I'm not, saying, oh, I end like really early, because I don't want to sugarcoat the way that my schedule works and the way that would work best for me, right? Because although I don't get as much sleep necessarily, I do get a lot more time to rest than, let's say, someone else. Because I know a lot of people go back home, they start working, and then they end at 12, and then they sleep. Well, they don't really get to do anything, other than study and then sleep. And that's why I like to give myself a little bit of time, even if it's it's at the cost of sleep. And another thing that I wanted to emphasize, kind of like a tip, is that the fact that my parents are generous enough to, respect my schedule, just let me sit in my room for hours at a time and not tell me to go outside, that helps me so much. Because I actually get to sit there and focus and put both earbuds in, put my phone in a corner and, Bluetooth earbuds, and actually just, listen to music, focus on the work, and get it done. And that helps me a lot with concentration, because when I'm interrupted, it doesn't help as much. And I have to kind of go back up and then pace around my room and like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Where did I stop? Let me recap. And that takes like 30 minutes. It takes me 30 minutes to recollect myself. And yeah, basically that's how my schedule works. And the way that I like to study in small increments. Like I take 1 to 2 math problems and spend a whole hour just working on them. And that's so that I know how it works exactly, like just work it down to the T. And that seems to work for both math and science. For history, I watch YouTube videos, stuff like that. And for English, I like to look at the vocab words, whether it's on a book or in a laptop, pace around the room and just to repeat them over and over. And yeah, basically that is how my schedule works.
Thank you, Marthella and Hanan and Isha. We have some of the most prepared students I mean, honestly, super prepared. These students are juniors and seniors, and I feel like if they were to leave our school right this second, they would be prepared for the real world. Like our school gets them ready. So I am so proud of our students. I'm so proud of the time and effort that they put in, and they want to help everybody. I'm going to share one more thing on the screen. Sorry, I'm going to take away your sharing for just 1 second. I also want to show a study tips that another student shared with me. I do have a couple more students that have shared their schedules, so if you're interested in that, please send me an email. Just reply back to one of the emails I've sent you, and I'll share some more study schedules that people have shared with me, other students have shared with me. But this was one that was made actually by a student that is going to be a sophomore this year, and she came up with this whole thing. She has advice for everybody. I'm going to post this. I guess we can post it on the school website with this, but she talked about how you should obtain an agenda, which, a planner, work in daylight. I think that's a really good tip. Start with the most challenging work. Don't stress out. Use homework as study material, and then self-appreciation. All those things are really good. And then she talked about her study plan that she adopted during her freshman year. So I will also share this with everyone as well. Like I said, our students are fantastic.
Okay. I think we just have our last slide because we've taken a lot of y'all's time. Thank you for your patience, but I really hope, especially with the student perspective, I really hope you guys understand what our students do and how your student is going to need to evolve and grow in our program. The last slide is really just for questions and answers. We can stay back for some of you if you have any questions for us. We've provided our contact information for Mr. Saldivar, who was in the meeting, all the way down at the very bottom to Ms. Jaffarali and myself. Thank you for all your time, for in all of your questions for those of y'all that are going to stay. But yeah, thank you. And I hope you guys got something out of this.
And thank you for putting in the time and effort to dedicate to your students and to get involved in your students' education. I think that's really important, and it really shows how dedicated you guys are as parents. It's just it's great. I love seeing parental involvement. I think we have a hand up. Yutong Sun?
Yes, I want to ask a question about the COVID-19 policies. If a case is infected, then what's the procedure for, quarantine, and during the quarantine, how will students catch up with their academic? For I assume 2 weeks.
I think that's a question for Mr. Saldivar.
I'm over here responding to the chat, and I didn't catch that question there. Can you repeat that for me, Ms. Jeffrey?
He was asking about COVID procedures.
Oh yeah, so the superintendent, had a meeting with principals yesterday, and when we met yesterday, at the same time the previous week, a lot has changed. A lot of information that he's been working with and receiving has changed tremendously in the course of less than a week there. And one of the things that when it comes to whether a child is vaccinated or not, or whether a child has COVID there is the virtual school option that's being thrown out there. But that's not going to be through the school, though. That's going to be district controlled. So in other words, it's only for, I believe, it's a 10-day online situation. And that's going to be what we call the district TDSs. Those are our teacher specialists on the district level there. And so that's not going to be a DeBakey teacher teaching the content from DeBakey curriculum to the child that has COVID there. So that's just one of the routes there that our district students are going to be working with there. And again, if that online option there is for your child because he or she has COVID, they're going to be working with other students from around the district there. So that's something that came out of that COVID procedure there. We're not, we're not forcing the issue of kids having vaccinations. That's something that he was real clear about that there. The mask mandate as it stands, it's we're working with our immediate superior there, and so that's it is a mask mandate. As I know, some of you guys are well aware of the board discussion that took place earlier this week there, but as it stands, I don't want to get into the politics of that or the debate of that there. We all wear masks, and I know virtually, I know I'm not wearing one, but I always have one handy there, and so we're all at DeBakey modeling wearing masks so that our students have that there. Last year, when we had about a handful of students on campus, we had about 150 students at the most, and it never went over 200, but all our students wore the mask. There was never an issue about that there. So our DeBakey students, with the importance of health science around DeBakey, that they understand the importance of that there. So I hope I answered that question regarding the COVID, some of the COVID process and procedures.
What is it?
Now, I want to entertain a question that was brought up by somebody in the chat there, that it would be nice and helpful to have the perspective of a struggling student there. But it's interesting, I've worked with Hanan, I've worked with Martella before, and they struggled their freshman year. So that's something they probably didn't share with you, but I work with them at different levels there, their freshman year. So now you're hearing them from the junior level there. So so they had their struggles, okay? So I don't know if they're still on board there, but they'll let you know that, it's not an easy thing from freshman year to junior. You're hearing them from they are now, but I worked with them 2 years ago. And so every child has different challenges that I work with. And so, yeah, there's different struggles at different levels there. I think I answered two questions at once there, so sorry about that. So, Ms. Sheffer, it looks like you're on mute there, or
I
should
am.
I answer more questions from the chat, or what?
The one that's in the chat, is the uniform going to be as flexible as the superintendent said?
So, yeah, you know, we're trying to get to the as much as normal as we can there, and you know, we are flexible. You know, even if you didn't have the opportunity to purchase a DeBakey top there with a DeBakey logo there, if your child has a navy solid color or blue or white, you know, solid color, you know, those are our school colors there. You know, we're trying to promote our school spirit and our campus there. So if you have any of those three options there that doesn't have the logo, we'll work with that. That's fine. Now, if there's any other difficulties or challenges with the family there, please let me know. You know, especially if your child's in the 9th and 10th grade, let me know. You see the contact information that's there, or if your child's a junior or senior there with some challenges going on, because I know, you know, every family is not the same. You know, there's certain challenges going on with the family or certain crisis going on. We need to know that, okay? We need to know that, and we're your first point of contact. You know, the assistant principals on campus there. The nurse is also another person that you know, that if you want to bring it up to the attention of something that is you know, presenting challenges to your child physically or with a medical condition, let our school nurse know. Nurse Ali, her information is on the school website. And then our counselors, okay? If your last name's in the alphabet A through L, that's Miss Simon. Miss Simon's our new counselor, and she works with students A through L. And then Miss Arizmendi, okay? She works with the alphabet N through Z. Their information is also on the school website. So those 5 people, you know, Miss Nurse Ali, Miss Arizmendi, Miss Simon, Miss Godot, and me, we should be your first point of contact when it comes to any sort of hardships, any challenges, any family situations or family crisis. Please let us know. You know, we are the ones that will work with you, and we are your liaisons at home and here at DeBakey.
I think Miss Ansted wanted to add something about uniforms.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Jaffarelli. My name is Marie, and I was helping with the uniforms with the PTO this year with Sarika. And all we wanted to add was, of course, we want to follow the guidance of what Mr. Salvador just said with respect to uniforms. But there are at least 70 families that still ordered uniforms as part of the pre-order. We have about $7,800 of uniforms that the PTO has paid for, and we're waiting for families to pick up. And what I was just going to say with that is that the PTO is a nonprofit organization. You know, what we have from the school through our fundraising efforts actually goes to support our teachers, goes to support our students, goes to support our children. So for those who have already walked through the pre-order process, which pre-orders were placed between July 19th and August 5th, if you placed those orders, please come and pick up and pay for the clothing by August 21st. The last date is Saturday, August 21st. Otherwise, the PTO kind of eats all that money, I guess, is that what you say? And that will significantly affect our budget for this year. So I guess it's a balance of what we're walking through. But again, the PTO, DeBakey PTO, is a nonprofit organization. We still have quite a few pre-orders for uniforms that were placed that have not been picked up as of yet.
Thank you, Ms. Anson. And about all those, yeah, you're right about the PTO there, and they help with many areas around DeBakey, with our students, our teachers, and in any other programs or must-haves on DeBakey. The PTO has always been there to support your child and our student groups at DeBakey. That is correct.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hello? Yes. Is in respect to the uniform as well. I understand the top part of the uniform, but we don't understand the bottom part. Like with the gym, there's no like clarification on what they're supposed to wear at the bottom,
Sure,
or what to wear Monday to Friday. I don't know if it's khaki, is it blue,
so
is it
yeah, so 2 colors or simple material. The material is khaki, and the colors are navy blue or khaki colored. Okay, that can be pants, khaki style pants, shorts. Shorts also come in khaki style in the colors of khaki or navy blue. And then the skirt update, we'll provide any skirt updates next week. Okay, I don't want to elaborate too much on the skirts there. I know it's been discussed last year and it's gone back and forth. So we'll discuss as an administrative team, so we can have an update for families next week about skirts.
So I should not buy skirt for now.
Yes, and if I can, if on top of the dress code, I'm looking here at the chat here. Closed-toe shoes, please. Okay, I know in the year of pandemic and being a year and a half out of a public school or any formal building, closed-toe shoes. You know, I know we can get comfortable wearing Crocs. Crocs is not it's a safety issue. You know, I've actually worked in my previous campus where I saw an injury with a student. You know, when of all books, an algebra book hit the big toe of a student there. And all because I think Crocs come with those little open holes there. So, so yeah, so Croc is considered an open toe sandal or shoe. So it's not a closed toe shoe. So we need those closed toe shoes in our students at all times there. Definitely not flip flops or sandals. All that's addressed and highlighted in our dress code, and it's posted on our school website. So if there's any details regarding anything or any confusion, please feel free to reach out to me via email, or if you want to be more specific with your junior or senior child at DeBakey, you can feel free to contact Ms. Guido as well. And on the address of addressing PE, we have PE uniforms. Those are available through the PTO sales. It's a standard gray top with navy blue shorts. And there are some exceptions. If you just email me if there are any religious factors or any physical situations, feel free to email me, and our coaches will work with your child in regards to some of those special cases there. No kilts.
A few more hands.
I don't see kilts here. We're not in Scotland. Maybe we do have an International Festival Day, so when that's the case, you certainly are welcome to wear kilts with appropriate undergarment too. Okay.
Mr. Saldivar, when did our counselor change? I was not given this information. I was emailing Ms. Hayward till last week. So when did that happen?
Yeah, so that that happened over the summer. So Ms. Hayward retired, and so Ms. Hayward, if nobody knows here, Ms. Hayward worked for us at DeBakey for many years, and so she worked with the alphabets A through L, and so she retired. Ms. Natasha Simon comes from the Baytown area, so she's joining our group with some experience, and so she'll be working with that alphabet in the new school year.
Can we get to meet her, because our point of contact with Ms. Hayward, and so she doesn't know our kids?
Sure. No, I understand that. So her contact information should be on the website, and if you really want to reach out to her, I would advise or suggest maybe Tuesday, since Mondays are back together with our teachers and our staff. We're all busy and working, getting to know one another, but also working as teams. So maybe Tuesday and Wednesday will be your better days in reaching out to Ms. Simon, and I'll reach out to Ms. Simon on Monday to maybe have an introductory letter out there to everybody there. We are going to have grade level forums in September and early October. Those will be led by our counselors there, and so that will be a nice opportunity to meet her in person or in a group like this in virtual.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We have a few more hands up, but I don't know if we answered those questions or not.
Okay, I can answer these too if you want me to right here. Document volunteer hours, I do highly suggest to use a letterhead. A letterhead is something that, for example, if you work with a church or an organization, let's say for the Houston Food Bank, they have a document that has the Houston Food Bank information on top, and then the immediate supervisor can say, Hannah worked 6 hours this Saturday on August the 13th, and then, or they can say, a schedule, how many hours are provided. Keep that or ask of that of your immediate supervisor, so that that's your proof that somebody can vouch on your behalf that you did the work, and that you could give that to Ms. Nieves. Ms. Nieves is our registrar, and she's the one that keeps tabs of your volunteer hours from freshman year. There is a question about skirts. Again, skirts will be in the same category as skirts. Volunteering opportunities. Ms. Arizmendi does a very good job of sending out those volunteering opportunities out there. Ms. Rodriguez, if she sees any, she'll post that on the hub as well. And as well as Ms. Nieves, she will use the Teams chat or the Teams group. So make sure you are in your assigned teams there, that you get that messages from your counselors and from Ms. Nieves. And yes, church volunteering does count.
We
I
have
have a follow-up question regarding your COVID learning with the strict learning. If you're required to stay home, in terms of the assignments, are they going to have a separate assignment, or are you required to do the assignments assigned by the teacher at DeBakey and missing quizzes or tests?
Yeah, I don't know the specifics of that COVID learning there, because it's never been implemented before. This is the plan, so we don't know how that's going to play out. The only thing I can tell you is it's not going to be a DeBakey teacher. It's going to be a district teacher specialist. As of right now, that's the plan.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are the 11th and 12th graders going to still be going to the hospital for their clinicals, or is that still kind of up in the air due to the COVID surge?
Well, it's not 9th and 10th graders. Usually the rotations are beginning with our junior year, and this year, it'll probably be on hold for another year. So, again, these things, we're in a day and age that things change by not only by the week but by the day. So, we'll be glad to have rotations if we can do it. But in the meantime, we're suspending them, or they're on hold.
Hi, Mr. Salva, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Hi.
Yes.
I had a question earlier in the chat about the pedestrian gate. I think it's on Montclair Street. I'm back. Is that open in the morning to come in? I know my son has come out of it when he's had to come to DeBakey, because I'll just park along that backside. But it looks like it locks from outside. So will that be open, or?
So it does lock for a reason. I mean, it serves its purpose.
Yeah.
Now, as you may know, we do have the driveway gate open. I don't advise students going through that gate there. I mean, your best bet is probably using the Pressler gate. That Pressler gate is always open there. But the Montclair gate won't be open to the outside.
Only to come out.
Only to, correct, only to leave the campus to the Montclair side.
That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I see a question here in the chat, scrubs. That's through the health science teachers there.
Is there a list that freshman students and families can get to network with each other? I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe PTO is the best place to network with other families.
I don't know. There's a list. I know I've seen that in the elementary where there's kind of like a phone directory, but I don't know if that's a thing now. I guess I can suggest that to our grade level teams if we can do something like that, or have our class sponsors to maybe work out something there.
We do have a Facebook page for all parents, not necessarily 10th or 11th grade. Please join the Facebook page. A lot of questions get answered. Like the fundraising team proposed linking your Kroger account to the DeBakey. We have a tie-up with Kroger, so that way whatever you purchase, our school can get some money off of it. So there's a whole bunch of information. If you just go to the Facebook page and just search DeBakey Parents, so you'll be able to find us.
Can someone from PTA also talk about the social on Monday? I don't know anything about it, but I know that Ms. Ake mentioned something earlier.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, what was that? Who was that question directed to, Mr. Jaffarelli?
Somebody from PTO, if they can explain a little more about Monday's social. There's going to be a social on Monday the 16th. Oh, it's posted on the DeBakey Parents and Community.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Jaffarelli. This is Marie Anstead. I didn't really even wasn't aware of the Facebook Parents and Community account until this summer. And then I realized there's a whole bunch of good information gets posted there. I know that, and Sophia may know who that is, but there's a lady on PTO, the liaison, that's helping to coordinate a social for freshmen that is on Monday. So I wasn't going to go since my son's not in that, but I do know that it is absolutely posted on the Facebook, the DeBakey Parents and Community page, and the information's there. And I think they are getting together kind of in the afternoon at one of the local parks.
Thank you. So two more questions, and then any others that we don't get a chance to answer. Please, Ms. Jaffarelli, if you don't mind putting that screen there with the emails there. About the students' requested schedules, please contact your counselor. So Janice, if your last name is G there, I will contact Miss Simon, Miss Natasha Simon there for that request there, and I would copy Miss Arismendi as well there. I know Dean Shargi is working with the master schedule there, so whatever classes you see on your schedule, it's a working document, it's a working schedule there, and updates will happen through the course of this week there. Okay. One more question, and then we'll wrap it up for this Saturday afternoon. Okay.
May I have a question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this presentation is wonderful. I'm just wondering for the freshmen, is that possible? We can replay this video somewhere. Can you give us the link?
Absolutely, yeah. That Ms. Jaffarelli is recording this session here, and we'll find a place for it on the school website, and also we'll work through the hub too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to give a big shout out, a big kudos, a big round of applause to Ms. Jaffarelli, Ms. Tapia, and even our special guest, Ms. Varghese, to chiming in there. But you know, these ladies are our team leaders on campus, and we're very fortunate to have them on our DeBakey team there. So thank you, ladies, for putting this together for our parents there. Everyone else, have a good afternoon. Thank you for joining us, and we'll one more week, and then we're ready for day one. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.